This is one of the rarest sovereigns in the world, flanked by three of quite possibly the other rarest sovereigns in the world. This table has quite easily close to £200,000 in value on it. I am here with Coins of the Realm Auction House, and I'm going to look at some of the rarest sovereigns, including the holy grail that is the 1819. Wow. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and welcome to a very special Precious Metal Ramble. There are some incredible coins here on the table. You are in for a real treat. And one of the most rare coins ever in the form of the 1819 sovereign, which is this coin up here. I will be putting some gloves on, fear not, to show it. This is literally one of the rarest coins in the world, with maybe 6 to 10 examples of it out there, and it's up for auction. And I'm here with Coins of the Realm Auction, actually with them as well, to talk about the upcoming auction where this coin is up for sale. So I will introduce Dan and Louise from Coins of the Realm. Thank you for having me, and thank you for bringing these amazing coins.
No problem at all. Not a problem at all.
They are special, super special, but tell us about this pièce de la résistance, the 1819, and we have to start there.
So we managed to secure the 1819 back in 2017, August. We got it from Warwick and Warwick Auctions, and it went into private hands, and now it's back on the market and up for auction on the
29th, yeah.
March.
So that will be this coming weekend for those of you watching when this video is published. Now, it's going to be quite an expensive coin. We're not expecting this to be a cheap bit of gold. What are your hopes and expectations for this at auction, as an estimate, if you were to give it that estimate?
I think because obviously the Raw Mint, as they had one about 6 or 7 years ago, didn't they? Which was a very similar sort of grade to this. I think it was graded after it was it auction? No, it wasn't auction, was it? It was
silent auction.
One of their silent auctions, yeah.
Something like that. Or it's a lottery or something that you had to do, and I think it went for around about 100,000 around that time.
Something like that. So we'd be cautiously optimistic to say around the £100,000 mark would be
I would hope it would,
something
I would say it'd be around that ballpark.
I'm not going to lie, my heart's racing a little bit now that I know that I'm holding a £100,000 estimate coin. For those on the channel, I have dropped coins before, so I'm now going to put this one down. But no, it's stunning. Like, I am a sovereign fan. For those who've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that, and you'll know that I've been attempting to put together a bit of a date run for sovereigns. And when I first got started with this, I found out about the 1819 sovereign, and my sort of heart sank a little bit, because of like the inner OCD in me was, well, I'm never going to complete that, am I? Because there is only literally 6 to 10 of these out there. Can you give us any information on why that is? Why is it the rarest sovereign out there? As much as you know, at least.
On the case of the mintages of that year, I think it was 3,500-ish, I can't remember offhand.
Well, we're testing your knowledge. There's a little leaflet here. So 3,574.
Oh,
74.
So you were close.
I was close. Suggestions are that they were melted down. And the remainder, and I think only in the last 50 years, that somebody has realised that actually they are in circulation, in collections, and then they've been sort of monitored, and up until today there's around about 6 to 10, and it all depends who you speak to, possibly 11 that's in existence.
Amazing. I mean, my limited knowledge of the history is that time in British history, of course, we're just out of the Napoleonic Wars. Great Britain was in massive amounts of debt, needing to finance that debt, and a lot of the gold and coins that were minted at the time were just shipped off around the world to finance a lot of that debt. And so you can imagine that perhaps they were just melted down or sent away, and then another country melted them down. But it really makes this is why we collect coins. You don't have to go and spend £100,000 on a coin to appreciate this coin. This is what history is about. and why these coins are special, in my opinion, and why it's. I think your seller was telling you that he feels like he's a custodian of this coin for the
a
guardian of it, exactly, for the short period that he's owned it, which is, I think, really quite special. But I remember, really fun story. I wrote a little story when I was about 6 years old for primary school about change in my pocket and the stories that it's seen. And you just think about the story that this coin has seen for 200 plus years of one of the rarest coins in the world. Where's it been all this time?
Yeah.
And like you say, if only over the last 50 years people have started to realise that it is super rare.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's pretty cool and pretty amazing. So a real privilege to showcase this. Thank you for that. So if you want to go and place a bid on it,
if
you need to remortgage the house, probably best to contact your bank beforehand. But from me, thank you for being able to look at this coin, but it is not the only coin that you've brought in for us to have a look at. There are some amazing other pieces within this auction. We've got a very small selection here. Normally when you guys have seen me do the auction updates, we'll go through the whole auction catalogue, and there are plenty of other amazing coins out there, but there are some other really special ones here. I'm going to jump straight to the 1825 coin. So we're in a sort of similar time period.
Yep. This
is a very special one. Proof coin from that time period. Is there anything extra you know or can tell us about this particular one? This is the PF62 bare bust plain edge from 1825.
That is, again, an extremely rare.
I think the plain
sovereign.
edge variety.
The plain edge variety is rarity 5, possibly 6. Only a handful again.
It's quite staggering, and I was saying this before we turned the cameras on. This is a 200-year-old coin, and it's PF62. It's how that's been kept that way for that long a period. It's seen such changes in the world, 2 world wars, God knows what else in the world, and it's still here and it's still immaculate. Is pretty amazing.
And also, I'd like to add, on the case of these coins, obviously that's been recently slabbed, let's say in the last 5 years, possibly 10. But before that, everybody who owned that coin, going back to being the guardian, realised, actually, I'm going to keep this in a safe spot for the same condition that I got it in. So just that sort of human instinct to go, actually, I'm not going to ruin this coin. I'm not going to sort of handle it. I want to keep it precious and safe.
It's sort of,
as I say, if the coins could speak, it would be
the tales they would tell. I mean, it's sort of akin to planting a tree. You plant it for generations in the future. You don't plant it for yourself. That small acorn into that massive oak, and that's pretty incredible. And they just don't make them like they used to, do they? I mean, you look at this coin 200 years ago.
With the plain edge,
with the plain edge. If we can somewhat showcase the plain edge on camera there, you can see it. It's very, very good. Another bucket list coin. Do you have an estimate off the top of your heads on this one? Do you know where you'd be expecting it to be? Or
looking around the sort of 30,000, that sort of maybe.
30,
All right, so we're taking up. I'm sitting here going, okay, so there's £130,000 in front of me. Okay, right. Next up, then we've got something that's actually not gold. We've worked out this is actually gold layered on copper. A very special trial piece, which is called the Barton's metal. Now, I won't put you too much on the spot of giving us an in-depth knowledge of all of this, but there is some really good information on the Coins of the Realms auction site for this particular coin. So I'm just going to sort of summarise a little bit that's on there, if that's all right with you guys.
No problem.
So basically, this Barton's metal was developed as a technique by which they could test manufacturing methods of token coinage. It's gold layered over copper, and actually if we turn it over, you'd be thinking, oh my goodness, what on earth have they done to this coin? But it's designed that way. Of course, this is the copper bleeding through and oxidizing and rusting. So it is a test specimen piece. But the fact that this kind of piece even exists and is in a collection somewhere, I think again is part of the history and the custodian of just coin collecting around the world. It's a pretty special piece. And it's amazing. So
very, very lucky to have it.
Yeah. Again, I would imagine this is
This is the first.
It's one for you guys, but
Yeah.
do we know how many?
I think it's the finest known, that one.
The finest known.
And again, it's going to be a handful.
Count on one hand the number of examples of that kind of coin that would be out there.
Yeah.
For anyone wondering, that little black blemish that's on there is again the layer of gold, not very thick, and the copper coming through and oxidizing. So pretty incredible stuff, really. And the last coin, which I kind of feel like we've left for last, but it's actually probably one of the least special on the table in many ways, but it's still a very special coin. This is the double sovereign, I believe,
yes,
isn't it?
Yeah. The highest denomination.
Highest denomination. So they didn't make the quintuples back this early.
No.
It's back in, I think it was the 1880s when they started doing the quintuples, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But this is the double sovereign from William IV. Really very special, and proof as well.
Yeah.
So a really special piece indeed. So these are just absolutely magic coins, and I mean, the clue's in the name of your business, Coins of the Realm. If you, for those watching and you haven't seen Coins of the Realm's auctions before, they have some pretty amazing coins come through their auctions. So definitely worth having a look at. But it's not just the old school, incredibly rare stuff. You also have a lot of other modern stuff too.
Correct.
So it would behoove us not to talk a little bit more about stuff that you've got going on. So how is things with the auctions with modern stuff compared with old stuff? If you have any thoughts on that world at the moment.
Well, we get quite a few bits to the auction. A lot of people now know the name and come back through us, whether they bought through the auction. Recently we had a William, I'm not talking about a modern coin, but talking about the William and Mary 5 guinea. We had someone purchase that raw, slab it, put it back through the auction and made money on doing that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I've talked about coin grading, and that is definitely a thing. I've for example got coins that I bought raw. I recently had a 1989 set and missed out on the quintuple as PF70, but I got 70s on all the others.
Yeah.
And like you say, there is a margin to be had there. But for me, it's more about like the custodian, the collection at the moment. It's not about the quick flip for me. But it's really great because I've noticed that you guys have picked it up of late. There's more auctions coming. So how's the market been for you with this big uptick in gold and silver prices? Of course, now it's come down a little bit in gold and silver prices, but how's this market treated you guys? Is it?
We're definitely getting more consignments, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're getting more known in the industry. I mean, obviously we've been going a long time as a company, but as an auction house, we've been going for 6-7 years now.
6 years,
we're definitely getting more consignments to the auction.
Has the industry, not necessarily the auction industry, but has the coin collecting industry changed from your perspective from when you started the auction 6-7 years ago? Have you noticed it?
I think you do
shift?
Get a lot more investors now than just collectors, and obviously you have to cater for both. Yes. So we are trying to get a little bit more numismatic stuff to the auction as well, because we've catered quite a lot for investment side of things, I think, in the past. So that's what we've sort of been advertising in a few different places as well to do that. But including coin.
And consigners are obviously very, very happy with our 10%.
Well, it's the selling point that I always highlight whenever we do one of your auction updates. The 10% is, I think it's an incredibly fair margin, and it's just I think it's fair all round, because the auctions where you see just commercial auction houses just selling antiques and things where they do 25% buyer's fees, 25% seller's fees plus VAT, they take 60-odd%. 10% goes to the taxman, but they take 50% of an item, and and you'll see people putting bullion gold through these auctions because they don't necessarily know better. And there's a time and a place for every coin in every auction, and if you're just sticking a 1 ounce gold Krugerrand in an auction at 10% margin, that's probably not the best place to sell that item. We'll be frank about that. But when you've got items like this, or when you've got modern proofs that are hot on the market, there is and the service that you guys offer is, I think, second to none. I mean, I've not sold a coin through you guys, but from a buyer's perspective, I've always had incredible dealings with you. It's been fast, efficient, amazing, packaging, brilliant, coins well described, can't say fairer than that. And ultimately for a buyer, you're working for free, really. So I think that's pretty impressive. So my thanks to you guys from that perspective.
problem.
In fact, we were saying just before, again, when we turned the cameras on, that maybe one day when I decide not to be Backyard Bullion, there might be a Coins of the Realm special Backyard Bullion auction for some of my coins that we've had. But
brilliant.
We'll see when that might be. Maybe not for a while yet. Amazing. I mean, it behooves us not to have another quick look at this 1819 again whilst we've got the opportunity. So,
It'd be rude not to.
is there anything that you guys want to add? I mean, I've talked a lot. I talk a lot. That's what I do. Is there anything you guys want to talk to our audience about and say about Coins of the Realm or the auction or anything coming up?
Well, we're looking for consignment, so
Yeah, always looking for consignment.
always looking for consignment. So you know, if anyone's looking to, we recently did the Vinny auction, which you probably saw.
Yes.
You know, we're definitely looking for more consignments of that nature, because I think, you know, it was well received by our customers. They really loved that
Well,
auction.
one of the earliest auctions I remember seeing from you guys, and it actually gave me the idea of that Backyard Bullion auction one day maybe, was the Angela Allen auction.
Yeah.
She had an incredible collection of coins there. So again, I think that's really amazing, because you see then somebody's real passion for the collection, don't you? So that's
we
pretty
can
cool.
cater it towards the individual as
totally.
well. So if they want it, you know, particularly about a person that, you know, whether it's someone who's passed or whatever.
Because from memory, Angela had passed on, hadn't they? And it was her children or daughter that was looking. I mean, because ultimately, coin collections are not going to be for everybody, are they? And you know, when there is a certain value in a collection, of course, when generations move on, that has to.
But also on the case of collections coming in, there is an element of people. We offer that service, but people not wanting to. It's just anonymous, so it's just a new auction.
Yeah.
But it's an actual collection, but they don't want to go down that road. So there is that element as well. It's not a case of like, if we sort of like, okay, your collection of 100 coins, we need to put your name on it, and so it doesn't have to be that way.
But it's a nice way to perhaps honour a collection or to honour a person that.
Father or mother.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but that's pretty cool. So if somebody did want to consign to you guys, how do they go about it? What's the best way to do it?
Well, they can either call us or email, get in touch by. I mean, we have got a consignment button as well on the auction, which you know, some people do use.
It's fairly easy to find, I think, on the website. I'll link the website as well as the Bid Live website down below, so you guys can.
For UK consigners, people want to talk. Free phone number 0800 169 1066.
Oh, 1066! What a great number! Did you have to pay extra for that?
Yeah.
I bet you did. Amazing, fantastic. Well, there you go. There you go, guys. You heard it there. If you have anything that you think might be fit for this auction, then please get in touch with Coins of the Realm. Fantastic coins. I do envy whoever ends up being the owner of these coins in the future. It's not something that is on my cards, unfortunately. I'd love to tell you that I'm going to go and put a bid on this 1819, but I think Mrs. Backyard Bullion would have a bit of a shock when I told her that I'd remortgage the house to buy it. So it's been a privilege to film with it, though, and thank you for that. And to be just a small part of that coins history is incredible for me. And I know it's the second time you guys have had it. Maybe in the future you'll have a third. We'll see.
Yeah.
But thanks very much for taking the time to film with us today. For you cool kids in the camera, thank you for watching. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up button and like, and go over to Coins of the Realm's website to register for bidding on the auction on all of their incredible pieces. Otherwise, that's it from me. We'll see you next time. As always, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.